asked me, she called her a bitch and said, oh, I didn't give you permission to talk to me. I'll slap the black off of you.
Did you know Tina Turner, the queen of rock and roll, had a side that surprised many fans? What made her show this violent side, and why did it shock so many people? Was it connected to her tough past or something deeper? How did this affect her career and image? Let's look at the moments that left fans asking, is this the Tina we knew? Tina Turner once shot Randy Jackson, Michael Jackson's little brother. It's a wild story, and there are at least two different versions of what happened that day. One version comes from Randy himself, and the other comes from Tina's former assistant, Hampton Armani. This story takes us back to a complicated time in Tina Turner's life. Once, Tina Turner had a close friendship with Bernadette Roby. They stayed friends even after their romantic relationship ended. Later, Bernadette started dating Randy Jackson, one of the Jackson brothers.
Just keep finding a rhythm to the brain. Hey!
This is where things get interesting. Randy seemed serious about Bernadette. She was his date at the 1983 Motown 25th Reunion Special, a huge event where Michael Jackson performed the moonwalk for the first time. Bernadette was also pictured with Randy's sisters-in-law, showing she was close to his family. But then something surprising happened. Randy shared in some old tweets that he once went to Tina Turner's house and saw something shocking. According to him, he walked in and found Tina and Bernadette in a private moment. He said, "Yes, Tina Turner shot me. I have the scar to prove it." He added that he didn't bring violence or carry weapons. Still, his tweets leave people wondering, why did he mention violence at all? What really happened that day?
Fancy clothes and habits, take for granted. I'm the one to help you.
In 1983, Randy Jackson was dating a woman named Bernadette Roby. According to a book about this time, something shocking happened. Randy was said to be very controlling, and Bernadette was scared. The book includes a moment when Tina, who seemed like a mother figure, gave Bernadette a strong warning. Randy remembered Tina's words. "Bernadette, let me tell you something. You've got yourself an Ike Turner. You better get rid of him. I know you're scared." For context, Ike Turner was known for being abusive in his relationship with Tina Turner. This was Tina's way of telling Bernadette to leave Randy before things got worse.
Ike was a violent person, and at that point, he was on drugs, very insecure.
Bernadette Roby wasn't just anyone. She was the daughter of Paul Roby, one of the original members of the Platters, a famous singing group. At the time of this incident, she was recently divorced from Lynn Swann, a former NFL star for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now she was with Randy Jackson. The book suggests that Randy forced Bernadette to do things that were too awful to write about. Tina was so upset by what she heard that she threw up her hands in disgust. "I know what it's like, Bernadette. It's best if you stay here tonight," Tina said, her voice calm but firm. "Just make sure you get rid of Randy Jackson first thing tomorrow." But no sooner had Tina spoken, we heard shuffling steps outside. The sound was loud and unnerving. I stayed still, watching Tina from across the bedroom. Her face showed deep worry. We all remembered the awful stories Bernadette had told us about Randy's violent behavior. Lejeune and Tina froze, staying quiet as the noises outside grew louder. Suddenly, one of Tina's favorite terracotta pots smashed through the glass doors. The crash was deafening. Tiny pieces of sharp glass flew everywhere like darts. The bedroom was a mess, covered in soil and broken terracotta. Then everything happened so fast. Randy Jackson jumped through the shattered window. He stood there panting and sweating, his eyes wild. As he walked forward, the sound of glass crunching under his boots echoed in the room. Tina's beautiful cream carpet was now covered in dirt and shards of glass. It was like Randy was possessed, completely out of control. His presence filled the room with fear. We didn't know what he might do next, but we knew we had to be ready for anything. Randy Jackson, who was definitely acting like a man on a mission, walked into Tina's home. He was muttering to himself about how much he loved and needed Bernadette, his girlfriend. He wasn't thinking straight and looked like trouble. Now Tina was no stranger to danger. She had been through a lot in her life and had prepared herself for moments like this. She had always practiced safety drills just in case someone tried to break into her home. Funny enough, she thought if it ever happened, it would be her ex-husband, Ike.
This is where I would slap her or something. Then she would change her mood or attitude or something.
But she was wrong this time. When Randy barged in, everyone froze. All those drills Tina had practiced went out the window. Everyone stood there, shocked and unsure of what to do. Everyone except Tina. Tina didn't panic. Instead, she moved calmly into her bedroom. She knew exactly what she needed to do. On her bedside table, hidden behind framed pictures, was her loaded handgun. Without hesitating, she reached for it. But that wasn't all. Next to her, behind an antique mirror, was a shotgun. In one swift move, she grabbed it, cocked it, and pointed it at Randy. She didn't scream or cry. She simply said, "Freeze, or I'll blow your brains out." Randy paused for a moment, looking at Tina. But then, ignoring her warning, he lunged toward Bernadette. Tina didn't miss a beat. She fired a warning shot into the ceiling. The sound was deafening. Randy, still full of rage, charged toward her like a bull. Tina stayed cool. She adjusted her aim and fired another shot, this time near the doorway. The sound and force of the shot finally made Randy stop. Realizing he had no chance against Tina, he jumped through a window and ran for his life. Now here's the funny part. Rumors started spreading that Randy got shot during his escape. Some say it was his upper thigh. Others say it was his butt. For years, neither Tina nor Randy said much about it. But in 2011, Randy finally admitted on Twitter that the rumors were true. As for Bernadette, she moved on from Randy. She married the legendary boxer Sugar Ray Leonard. They had 2 kids and are still together today. Oh, and guess who attended their wedding? O.J. Simpson and Johnny Gill. Gill wasn't just a guest. He was a groomsman. Randy, on the other hand, didn't have much luck in love. His temper and bad behavior didn't help. To make matters worse, his own brother Jermaine had an affair with Randy's girlfriend, later marrying her and having kids with her.
Reporter Mary Major Jack gets Ike to open up and talk about the alleged beatings he gave his former wife, Tina. In today's Star Profile segment, we get a closer look at Ike Turner.
Talking about ex-husband, Tina's sister, Aline, played a big role in bringing Tina Turner and Ike Turner together. Aline worked as a barmaid at a popular R&B club in St. Louis, where Ike's band, Kings of Rhythm, often played. One night, Tina was there watching the band, and the drummer handed her a microphone. She started singing along, and soon after, Ike ran up to her and said, "Girl, I didn't know you could sing." In a 1986 interview with Rolling Stone, Tina explained that everyone at the club was excited for her. They knew her sister Alan and had heard about how Tina had always wanted to be a singer. From that moment, Tina was on her way to becoming a star. Ike, always eager to mold her into what he wanted, started giving her clothes and jewelry for performances. At first, Tina didn't want much to do with him. She even thought Ike was terribly ugly, as she told Rolling Stone. But things changed when Ike decided that Anna Mae Bullock, Tina's birth name, wasn't flashy enough. While recording their first demo, Ike came up with a new name for her, and that's when the Ike and Tina Turner Revue was born.
And is it true that your real names are Maurice and Samantha Fleischman and that you changed them to... Huh?
Of course not. My name is Tina.
In a 2013 interview with Oprah, Tina shared that Ike knew exactly what he was doing. By changing her name, he made sure he could control her career. He attached his name to hers because he didn't want her to leave him for a record deal on her own, like others had done to him before. Ike was determined to stay in the spotlight, and he went to great lengths to make sure Tina's success also meant his success.
I didn't know that the man was an utter bastard.
I hope he hears that, and I didn't say it. He had some problems.
Some problem.
In her memoir, Tina Turner shared the heartbreaking details of her troubled marriage to Ike Turner. At just 22 years old, Tina went along with Ike's plan for a quick wedding in Tijuana, Mexico. This wasn't the dream wedding she had hoped for, but Tina went along with it to keep Ike happy and avoid more abuse. After they got married, they spent their first hours together at a brothel, watching a live sex show. This was not what Tina imagined for her wedding night. She later described that night as so upsetting that she buried the memory and created a fantasy in her mind of what a real romantic wedding would have been like. Tina also spoke about the first time Ike ever hit her. She had told one of Ike's colleagues that she was worried about tying her name to his in their music partnership. When Ike found out, he was furious. He grabbed a wooden shoe stretcher and hit Tina in the head. Afterward, he told her to go to bed, and the abuse didn't end there. Ike continued to beat Tina and once threw hot coffee in her face, causing third-degree burns. He even broke her jaw. Feeling trapped and hopeless, Tina reached a point where she tried to take her own life. For years, Tina kept the details of her marriage and the abuse a secret because she was too embarrassed to talk about it. But in her memoir, she finally opened up about the terrible things she went through, hoping to help others who might be suffering in silence.
I must be as civil as I possibly can about it. I don't want word to go back to Ike Turner saying that I said that he was this name that you just accused him of.
Tina Turner once felt lost and alone in her marriage. She was sad and struggled with sleepless nights. To find relief, she went to the doctor, hoping for a way to sleep better. The doctor gave her some pills, and that night, Tina took 50 of them. She thought that if she took all those pills, it would end her pain. Tina wanted to escape from the hurt she felt with Ike and all the struggles in her life.
As a kid, I saw you on television, and I'm amazed to read some of those performances with him. You had blood in your mouth when you were singing.
It was the first time I experienced it when I had a nose problem, and I didn't know. I'd never had a broken nose before. It was cracked there or something, and
From one
of
of the beatings?
Yeah, this was one before a show.
When Tina woke up the next day, she was shocked to find she was still alive. This was a turning point for her. Instead of feeling hopeless, Tina saw it as a sign that she was meant to live. From that day on, she never tried to end her life again. Sadly, when Tina woke up in the hospital, Ike was not kind to her. He said something cruel. "You should die." His words showed how little he cared. Later, in an interview with Spin magazine in 1985, Ike showed no regret for his actions. When asked about the abuse, he shrugged it off and said, "I don't regret nothing I've ever done." He even admitted to hitting Tina, but said it was not worse than what other men do. This made it clear how Ike viewed relationships, and his words were hurtful and upsetting.
Okay, with all of this, if you look at Tina, do you see any of those scars? She said I broke her jawbone. If you ask a doctor can tell you, if I broke her jaw, no way is she going on stage.
I had put everything on hold because it was just an existence of children being involved, debts. Where is it to go?
One day, she finally decided enough was enough. She had no plan, no money, and no comforts. All she had was 36 cents, a mobile gas card, and the courage to leave. Tina escaped during one of their tour stops. She was injured from Ike's beatings and deeply in debt. She didn't even take her wigs. She simply ran, desperate to get away from the man who had controlled her life for so long.
My advice is make up your mind and don't go back and deal with whatever you have to deal with to finish it, which is what I did. I was prepared to go through whatever I had to go through with Ike Turner, even if it was death, because I would never go back.
Her first stop was a Ramada Inn hotel in Dallas. Tina had no money to pay for a room. She begged the hotel manager for help and shared her story. The manager, moved by her bravery, gave her a room to stay in. This small act of kindness gave Tina a safe place to rest and plan her next steps. Leaving Ike wasn't the end of her troubles. He was furious and refused to let her go. Promoters who had paid for their tour sued Tina, demanding their money back. Worse, Ike sent people to scare and threaten her. Tina said she was so afraid that she would hide in a closet at night because Ike's men would shoot at the house she was staying in. Despite the fear and struggles, Tina didn't give up. She worked hard to rebuild her life and career. Slowly, she found success on her own and became one of the biggest stars in music. When Ike Turner passed away in 2007 from a drug overdose, people wondered what Tina would say, but she stayed quiet. Her representative simply said she hadn't been in touch with him for over 30 years and wouldn't comment further.
Well, I only know my mother and father. I do know that my mother's parents, both grandfather and my grandmother, were Indian people.
Sioux and Navajo.
Yes. And I could squeeze my mother's neck sometimes that she can't give me more information on it, but I think at that point she didn't realize that was important, that it would be important to really know background.
Tina Turner was born Anna Mae Bullock on November 26, 1939, in Brownsville, Tennessee. She was the youngest daughter of Floyd and Zelma Bullock. Tina grew up in Nutbush, a small farming community. Her father worked on a farm, and Tina helped pick cotton as a child. Tina was African American and believed she had Native American roots. Later, a DNA test showed her family history was mostly African. Tina had two older sisters, Evelyn and Ruby. The family faced tough times, especially during World War II. Her parents moved to Knoxville for work, leaving Tina and her sisters with their strict grandparents, who were very religious.
You're very close to your sister.
Yes,
What's her name?
Aline.
Aline Bullock?
After the war, the family came back to Nutbush, and Tina went to Flag Grove Elementary School. She loved singing and joined the church choir at Spring Hill Baptist Church. However, life at home wasn't happy. When Tina was 11, her mom left to escape an abusive relationship. 2 years later, her dad remarried and left too. Tina and her sisters then lived with their grandmother.
How I was raised, more by the lady in Tennessee, because actually I would say the lady I worked for raised me a little bit more than I would say my mother did, because my mother and father left.
As a teenager, Tina worked as a house cleaner. She also played basketball, joined the cheerleading team, and loved spending time with friends. Life was hard, and Tina faced tragedy when her half-sister Evelyn died in a car crash. When Tina was 16, her grandmother passed away, so she moved to St. Louis to live with her mother. She graduated high school in 1958 and later worked as a nurse's aide.
What's love got to do with it?
Tina started her music career in the 1950s. Her love for music began when she sang in her church choir. In her teens, she met Ike Turner, a musician who helped her start her career as earlier mentioned. Ike and Tina became famous for their songs and live performances. Some of their hits were River Deep, Mountain High, and Proud Mary. While Tina became a star, her personal life was very hard. Ike, her husband, was abusive. She suffered for years, but in 1976, she left him to start a new life. This was a turning point for Tina. She decided to take control of her career and her life, as earlier mentioned. At first, it was tough for Tina to make it on her own. She performed in small clubs and worked hard to rebuild her career. Then in the 1980s, everything changed. She released her album Private Dancer, which became a huge success. Songs like What's Love Got to Do With It made her a global superstar.
What's love got to do with it?
Tina wasn't just a singer, she was an entertainer. Her concerts were full of energy, with her dancing and singing like no one else. Fans loved her for her strong voice, powerful stage presence, and honesty. She inspired many people by showing them that you can overcome tough times and still shine. In the 1990s, Tina slowed down a bit, but she was still loved by her fans. She even acted in movies like Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. Her song, We Don't Need Another Hero from the movie, was another big hit.
We don't need another hero.
Tina sold over 100 million records worldwide and held a Guinness World Record for the largest paying audience of 180,000 people in 1988. In the UK, Tina was the first artist to achieve a top 40 hit in 7 consecutive decades, with a total of 35 UK top 40 hits. Her biggest hits, like What's Love Got to Do With It, Proud Mary, and River Deep, Mountain High, are timeless classics loved by fans across generations. In 2021, she made the decision to sell her entire music catalog for an estimated $50 million. This choice allowed her to have control over her legacy and gave her peace of mind in her later years. Tina's talent earned her 12 Grammy Awards, including 8 competitive ones. She shared the record for most awards for Best Female Rock Vocal Performance alongside Pat Benatar and Sheryl Crow. 3 of her songs have been inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame, honoring their lasting impact on music history. In 2018, she was awarded the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award, a fitting tribute to her incredible career.
Spend time with her.
Tina Turner, the Queen of Rock and Roll, passed away on May 24, 2023, at her home in Switzerland. She had been dealing with several health problems for many years, including a stroke, cancer, and kidney failure. Despite her struggles, Tina remained an icon of strength and resilience. In 2013, just 3 weeks after marrying her second husband, Erwin Bach, Tina suffered a stroke. She was afraid she might never walk or dance again. However, with determination and hard work, she regained her ability to walk. In 2016, Tina was diagnosed with intestinal cancer. She also had high blood pressure, which she had been dealing with since 1978. Hoping to avoid the side effects of traditional medicine, Tina tried homeopathic treatments. Unfortunately, this decision caused her kidneys to fail, and she needed a transplant in 2017. Her husband, Erwin Bach, gave her one of his kidneys, saving her life. Tina lived 6 more years after the transplant, and she often spoke about how supportive Erwin was through everything. In her memoir, My Love Story, Tina shared that Erwin never blamed her for the choices she made about her health. Instead, he stood by her, offering love and understanding. In March 2023, just a few months before her death, Tina posted on Instagram to warn her fans about taking care of their health. She encouraged people to treat their high blood pressure with proper medicine, saying, "Show your kidneys love, they deserve it." Tina spent her later years happily in Switzerland with Erwin. A friend said she had found true love and peace in her life. Even though she was tired, she told her friends she had enjoyed the last part of her life. Her passing was a huge loss to the world of music. Her publicist said, "With her, the world loses a music legend and a role model."
Tina Turner, music legend, icon through decades, has died. She was 83 years old.
Tina's death came just 5 months after her son Ronnie passed away from colon cancer. She shared a heartfelt post about him on social media saying, "Ronnie, you left the world far too early. In sorrow, I close my eyes and think of you, my beloved son." After Tina's death, many remembered her with love and admiration. Angela Bassett, who played Tina in the movie What's Love Got to Do With It, shared the last words Tina said to her. "You never mimicked me. Instead, you found your inner Tina and showed her to the world," Tina had told her. Cher, a close friend, also shared memories of her last visit with Tina. She said they spent hours talking, laughing, and reminiscing. "That's the Tina I loved," Cher said. Tina Turner will always be remembered as a music legend, a strong woman, and an inspiration to millions. Her life was full of challenges, but she faced them with courage, love, and a fighting spirit.